Spears and Steinberg.
You know what the fuck it is?
Aries and Andy, Jew and the Jerk.
You know it's time to get this work.
The real raw, gutter, uncut cocaine. No political corrections.
Always sleep.
Fuck being awoke. We discuss politics and jokes.
Scribe, we lit.
There's levels to this shit. Before you was sucking on your mama's tit.
Aries Spears don't give a fuck.
We talk about race a lot, racism,
Sexism.
Much love to my loyal bitch bag holders.
Rollers, clip loaders.
We got them in the folders.
The whole world on our shoulders.
Spears and Steinberg.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're sitting here with me. I'm in a good mood. I got my peanut M&Ms, which I've never had before, but they're like Reese's Pieces, right?
Yeah, Reese's Pieces.
And I got this thing from the club. I tried for the first
He
time.
got the thing from the club. I took him from the club.
Yes.
Because Aries won't carry anything.
And I'm gonna go home and get this. It's called Celsius. It's no sugar, no carbs, burns body fat, accelerates metabolism, peach mango green tea. Delish.
It's really good.
Ah!
But he already drank one of them that I brought here in like 2 seconds, and then asked for the other one, and then just left his dirty ass can there empty, and I clean up after him. Okay, wait. Look at this. This is my room. Let's see if I can get this. See, my bed's made. My shit's all done.
Oh, I got my underwear on top of the TV. My socks damn near in the toilet. Yeah, the odd couple, man. Shit. Fuck, what else was I gonna say?
Hey, we have a I want to just say this real quick. We have a special
You ain't got your headphones on. We sound like we at a distance.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll be able to fix that or pull it off this video.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're doing a special one. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's something different, a departure from our normal conversations. But because of that, I know that we're not going to have any sports conversations. So, so just because of that, I wanted to put this on and go. You saw the trade. The Damian Lillard trade, but you saw Suns.
Well, we talked about that.
But when you saw what all the Suns got, and no one's talking about what the Suns got in this deal, and I'm okay with that.
And for the record, it starts Tuesday.
Yeah.
The NBA's back, baby.
Yeah.
NBA on TNT. What is it? The TNT? NBA on TNT. I want to sit on the monster. When a guy's banging you those are the worst defenders because you got to feel their body. Come on, man. Oh, Shaq, Kenny, EJ, fucking Chuck. I can't wait.
I ordered this hat just for this podcast.
And you said what the Phoenix Suns get?
They got a big trade. They got a big haul. They gave up DeAndre.
Yeah.
And they got another center. I'm not going to go into it because we don't really have to talk about it full, but they really they have to cut people now. They have too many people. They have to cut people. Phoenix is going to be a great team. I'm not going to say as I'm sitting here they're going to win the championship, but I think they have as much ability and chance to win the championship as any of the top teams right now.
I don't.
As any of the other top teams right now.
Tell me what you think of the starting five, because I saw it online and a lot of people said this is a mistake. So the Golden State Warriors starting five is Chris Paul at the point. They're moving Steph to the 2, Clay at the small forward, Wiggins at the
power,
and Draymond is coming off the bench because they're going to have Kevin Looney or K Looney, whatever, at center. At center. What do you think about that? Because they're like, why is Steph at the 2? Put Steph at the point where he belongs and let Chris come off the bench and don't sit fucking Draymond. A lot of people think that's a fucking stupid lineup.
You know what? I think it's a lineup that you can play with back and forth because you can do exactly what you just said and go ahead and put Steph back at the point. But Steph was never a true point guard. And so to have a true point guard, it may set up Steph at certain times when Steph maybe like, okay.
But they're saying at the 2 guard, Steph going to get 8 up.
I don't know if he's going to get 8 up. I don't know. What's going to be interesting about it is if he's at the 2 guard, and let's say he's not having a game where Steph gets streaky, where he doesn't hit his shots for a while. You get Chris Paul in there, get him set up at the right time. Now all of a sudden you got Steph with clean looks, getting his shot where he wants it. This is going to be interesting to see him getting a shot where he wants it because it's never been like that before. So it's going to be interesting. I think it's interesting. I think there's a lot of lineups. This is the new NBA though. Lineup changes. No one at an assigned position. The position isn't as important anymore.
Why can't we just admit and someone just say to Chris Paul, dude, you're old now. You need to come off the bench. You're not who you used to be. We're not gonna fuck up our chemistry because your ego says you should be starting.
You think his ego is the reason they're doing it, or do you think?
Come on, man. Come on.
Draymond is also not a young man. He plays hard all the time.
But you know what he does.
He's
what he does.
Yeah, and
he's the heart. He's a defender, a little bit of a rebounder, and he's a shit starter.
Yeah, but he plays really hard. So this might be a break for them. Maybe rotate who starts and who doesn't start, and adjust accordingly by the team that you're playing. Right. Maybe there is some. I really think we're in a positionless NBA, and this is a time where we can make these kind of moves and we can see what happens. It's going to be a very interesting year.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed for Zion because he looks jacked. He looks back in shape. And I always said that when LeBron's inevitable retirement comes, which I think will be soon, I think Zion, based on his talent, should be the face of the NBA. He should take LeBron's spot.
It's not about his talent. He's always been talented. It's about his health and whether he can continue to stay healthy. He puts a lot of, Barkley talked about that because of his frame.
Zion looked like if Shaq and I had a baby.
Yeah. And according to the way that, they bump your body, he could have had a baby.
Yeah.
So.
Because when a guy's banging you, if you don't roll off their body, he can jack off and come in you before you know it.
And then there's a Zion.
Here's a Zion.
But with him, the amount of mass that he has and the way the game's played, that's what tweaks his body. He has to get into a balance. And Barkley did talk about that because Barkley was a big man and talked about his health. So it's going to be interesting.
That'll wake you up in the morning, babe.
It's going to be an interesting season.
Yes.
I know you love that shit.
I'm
almost sad that I drank one. I almost want to be.
It's funny when you said you took my last can. I remember. Reminds me of that Patrice O'Neal joke where he goes to the women. If you want a relationship with a guy like me, it's not going to happen. The best thing I'm good for is I'll come over, I'll fuck you, I'll drink your last Snapple, and I'll leave. All right, before we begin the podcast, I have to play something real quick. You know how I feel. I don't really like Candace Owens. This is the one time I applaud her.
Oh, I love this.
Here's the question.
What do you have to say to the trans students on this campus who feel actively victimized by your presence here?
Life's tough. Get a helmet, man. I'm too pregnant for this. Next question.
I just reposted that. And there's another, I think that's trending because there's 1,000 remixes.
It's trending.
And the one where she tells the girl that. I love the camera on her face looking stupid and dejected. And then, of course, they play Living in a Gangster's Paradise. And they put the glasses on Candace Owens. But there's a couple more of those where she's shooting them down. And I reposted it. And I just said, like I always say, dude, as long as you're not denying rights or your safety is not at risk, this era that we live in, of I have to cater and pamper to your feelings. And somehow, if I don't conform my beliefs and my ideals based on your feelings, I'm a horrible human being. Like, dude, like Candace said, life's tough. Stop this victimization, this era we live in where we have to cater to the transgender community and the LGBT community about your fucking feelings. Beat it, nigga.
Well, I like what she said because the way she asked the question is just the fact that she's on the campus makes them feel and how
threatened
and how she should feel about it.
Right.
If you're living your life where someone is in a proximity, not even in your face, in your proximity, and let's be clear about it. She went to where Candace Owens is speaking. It wasn't like she couldn't avoid her. She could have, but she went to where she's speaking. So that's one point. But the point is that just someone on your campus, someone in the vicinity of your area makes you feel threatened, you have some bigger problems.
Well, and obviously when you see it, there's like, again, I don't know how many total, but from what I've seen, at least 2 more people are there to go, I want to tell you how I feel based on your, and they call it rhetoric. So, like you said, I think some of these people are showing up because, you know, they want to let her know how they feel. So if you show up, then be prepared to get something.
Obviously, if you're going there and you're showing up, you're not threatened by the rhetoric. You don't feel that your life is in danger because you went there.
Right.
And you feel comfortable. And you know what? And that's the thing. Let's interview them afterwards. Did they feel uncomfortable there? Did they feel like people were going to hurt them? Did they feel like they were being attacked? It doesn't look like it from what you see in the room.
Well, there was another clip with a dude. He's just talking, blah, 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 blah. And she goes, is there a question here? Because right now, all you're doing is giving a speech. So she pushes him to get to his question. And I don't want to butcher it. So long story short, she's basically saying to him, because he's saying that based again on your rhetoric and people like you, you know, transgender suicides and blah, blah, blah. And she's saying something to the point of a lot of those suicides have come after the transition. And somehow don't say that my words are causing people to kill themselves. I'm going to fuck it up, so I'll just leave it at that. But you kind of know, do you know where I'm? Yeah.
It goes back to what she said. Life is hard, man. Get a helmet. And I'm not saying that, listen, I'm going to feel bad for anybody that feels that they're so trapped in life that their only option is to exit. But when you do the research and when you study this, even after the suicide rate doesn't go down after, from what I've read and from what I've seen, suicide rate doesn't go down after the transition, after this happens anyway. So what
she kind of said that.
Yeah. So what's happening is we're trying to treat this medically when maybe, and this is ironic because we're talking about emotions, and maybe it is emotional. Maybe it is something that needs to be handled in a different way than just a medical procedure. Maybe this is an emotional, emotions need to be, I don't want to just say emotions because that sounds wrong to me, but maybe the mental aspect of this needs to be addressed. I think maybe it is deeper than just, I see myself as this. Why do you see yourself as this? And maybe some of those are concerns or where we need to go.
A lot of the people's comments constantly when you look at these videos are, it's a mental disorder. These people need help. They're mentally unstable. They're mentally, it's mental comes up. And you just said that, mental. But I don't know. In other words, are these people saying it's mental disorder to be dismissive and mean? Or they literally are saying, yo, y'all need help?
I think it can be a combination of both. I think though when you look at it, and again, I don't study this, but I have read up on it. There is the mental. It is a mental disorder. It's listed. It says that you are. I forgot the terminology, but basically you see yourself as the other sex, and if that's the case. With some people, maybe they are trapped in that body. Maybe some people, a transition is the right thing, but it isn't. Maybe it isn't the first go-to. Maybe it has to be we need to look at it as a mental disorder. And how do you treat mental disorders? And it's usually not with a scalpel. And maybe that's the second step. If someone can't get past, if it can't be done in a therapist, psychiatrist office, maybe then the next steps are maybe a scalpel, but it's not the first choice. And I don't think people want to talk about it that way. And I'm not trying to dismiss anybody who feels like they're trapped in the wrong body. That's not what I'm trying to say here right now. I'm trying to say that I don't know that a scalpel is the first choice.
I'm gonna tell you something I saw on Instagram, and I know it may not have been meant to be funny, but it was funny. But it also, to me, spoke truth. And this is why, again, I personally have a hard time buying into this shit. So some girl sent out a post, and she said it 4 times. She said, trans women are women. Trans women are women. Trans women are women. Trans women are women. And somebody's response underneath that 4 times was, my Kia is a Mercedes. My Kia is a Mercedes. My Kia is a Mercedes. Does it make more sense than that? Can it not make more sense than that?
Well, yeah, it can. I mean, I'll be really honest. I mean, we can psychologically, mentally feel different than what our physical gender says, because I don't really want to do this because
we don't have to.
No, but I'm just going to say this because I'm not really educated in this. But if you're intersex is where the body can be either. I'm not educated enough to do this. Intersex, though, where you can feel both genders and you physically display basically both genders, and it's rare. So, but if your body can do that, then you could be able to say and extrapolate from that you can, without showing it, maybe mentally you can be that. So it can be, because a Mercedes and a Kia are built to be a Mercedes and a Kia when we are organic, and maybe there is something.
That to me sounds complicated. To me, it's as simple as, is a Kia a Mercedes? No. End of story.
But someone can chromosomally, you can have something else. Listen, I'm saying, to me, it seems that 90% of the time, it's a mental disorder where that could be resolved. And I put a 90% on it. What the fuck do I know? But I think that it's a mental disorder. But there are people, and I do believe that there are people throughout history that are in the wrong body, and that has to be handled a different way. But this is the only time in the history of the world you could solve that problem with a scalpel. And that shouldn't be the first go-to just because someone says they feel that way. There's other factors that go into why someone might feel different. And that should be the first line of therapy first. And then if all else is, hey, this person is still, this is where they're at, this is what they feel, this is who they know they are, and they're at an age where it's appropriate, then maybe it is a scalpel. I'm not trying to stop people from being who they need to be. I'm just saying,
if I were a doctor and I had to perform any kind of surgery to transform you from one thing to the next, when it's over, I would just stand over the patient and go, "It's alive! It's alive!"
You know, but you say that, and we're saying it jokingly. But when a woman doesn't have, let's say she has small boobs and she wants bigger boobs.
Yes.
Do you have a problem with a woman getting bigger boobs? Because they're still changing what they organically came with.
More for me to put in my mouth.
Yeah, but organically they change what they are. I'm just saying we look at things in a very specific way, and that I understand what that trans community is trying to say to us. But I don't think that just because you can have surgery now that should be the first response. That's all I'm saying.
So, folks, Andy brought to my attention something to watch on Apple TV. It was called The Supermodels. Please, I implore you, especially to the guys, watch it. Because at first I thought it was a one and done piece. And I was like, okay. Then when I went to go download it, I saw that it was 4 episodes. And, I thought to myself, oh God, what is Andy about to make me watch? But it was like a bag of chips. I opened it, I tasted the first episode, and I was hooked. So much so that I ripped the bag open once all the chips were finished, and I licked the salt within the bag, and then licked my fingers. It's really fucking good. It's called The Supermodels, and it's about Cindy Crawford, Naomi Campbell, Linda Evangelista, and I forget the name of the fourth one.
Christy Turlington. And again, I know some of y'all might be thinking, well, I want to watch some shit about some full model bitches. And I thought the same thing. But what I found out, like with anything else, and sometimes our prejudices make us forget that at the end of the day, no matter what the subject is, the sex is that stars in it, the bottom line is a good story is a good story. And when you have a good story and you're able to connect on a human level, all that other shit goes out the window. Because stop and think about it. How much guy shit have you seen that was terrible? So yeah, it could be macho shit. It could be demographically set for manhood shit. And it could be terrible because the story sucks or the acting sucks or the writing sucks. So
put away your prejudices and just try it. And again, based on human shit, you'll connect. Fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. Yeah. My question to you first is, as I was watching this, do you have models? Is that a big deal to you as a dude? Because I know for some dudes, that's the ultimate trophy. Dude, I'm dating a model. I like bitches that eat, man. That skinny, anorexic look. And I'm going to tell you something about a lot of models. Face-wise, that's where they win, a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Past that, you lose me. I like extras.
Okay.
That's like a car with no extras. Give me the titties. I need ass. I need thighs. I need shit to jiggle when you walk.
Well, obviously, especially if they're doing runway, there's not going to be a lot of thighs. Minimal ass. But you didn't think, let's see, I'm trying to remember the name. Well, Cindy Crawford. She still had body.
Boom. No. And here's my second note.
She had boobs. She did have boobs.
Nah.
Yeah, she did.
Dude, when they showed her in some of her bra and panty shots, come on,
She's
B.
young at that age, though, when she still hasn't fully become. What about Tyra Banks?
Hold up.
Tyra Banks isn't in this, but Tyra Banks is a model.
Well, she was a little bit on the more thicky side.
Yeah.
But I wrote, let me tell you something, man. Prime Cindy Crawford, facially, a fucking 10.
Yeah.
And the mole, sexy. From the neck down, white woman. It's a white woman.
Well, there are white women.
No, I know, but I'm just saying. Black women come with that shit black men like. You wibble, you wobble. The thigh, the ass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The lips.
But a model is different because a model is supposed to be able to display the clothes, not the woman. So they actually said it, and they say this later, but when they went to
but the woman makes the clothes don't make the woman.
Not in that
world.
Not in that world. Yeah, not in that world. So that's a big part of it. They're hangers. They're trying to show. I mean, there's a Elizabeth Hurley. Do you know who she is?
Yeah, that was Hugh Grant.
Yeah, she wore a Versace outfit to, and she's not a thick woman. She's not by any means. But
Okay.
she has more body than the models at the time that wore this Versace outfit, and the whole place went crazy with how she wore that outfit. That's because she had actually something to put into the dress, a little something. And most of those models that were coming in at the time were very thin and didn't exude that sexuality.
You know what models are like to me?
Hangers.
No, but besides that, they're like burgers with just meat and bun. No fixins. When's the last time you had a burger with just meat and a bun? You gotta have cheese. And at least cheese. But if you get the works, lettuce, pickles, tomatoes, onions, mustard, ketchup, special sauce, like a burger, goddammit. And it's like a model to me is like, meat with a bun, nothing else.
But let's continue to go on because there's some things as a young man I didn't see. And when I watched this, my perspective has changed. From a young man, when I first, because I'll tell you, that isn't my top 4 models that's on this. 2 of them are.
Well, give me a top. Well, you said top 4 or 5.
Well, I have a top 6, which I think is the real that time period.
I got a top none. But what's your top?
My top 6 would be Kate Moss, and she wasn't the most beautiful. She wasn't tall. She wasn't any of those things. But you know what? You use this word that's very funny, and the reason I started with her is because of this word, creature. You talk about creatures.
Yes.
She was one of those creatures. She came in. She didn't look like any of the rest of the models. She has some interesting flaws that I think make her sexy, that make the clothes work for her. But so her, and then the other one that wasn't on this list is Claudia Schiffer. That I thought she was the guest. She was the guest model.
Yeah.
No, I thought she was that part. Christy Turlington is my favorite model from that time period. Naomi Campbell and Cindy Crawford were those were my favorites at the time. Linda Evangelista would be probably the next one.
Now let me stop you right there. I'll give, with the exception of Kate Moss, and I'll even throw what's the name into that mix. Oh my God. Not Claudia. Oh, I can't. Whatever. I'll try to remember it. Christy Brinkley, was she a model?
She was a model. She was 80s. She was earlier.
I'll give you all face with those. Beautiful faces.
Yeah.
But no bodies. And I'm going to tell you this. At first, I didn't see it. But then I went Linda Evangelista. Very, there was a specific sexiness with her eyes.
Okay. And yeah.
Yeah, and when they all did that George Michael Freedom video, and she had the short cut blonde hair, facially, I went, yo, that's a bad bitch. And artistically, with the right photographs, all of them, face. But from the neck down, I'm like, there's no fixings on the burger.
No, I still like Christy Turlington. But here's the thing with what you're saying. Linda Evangelista wasn't in my top ones. It wasn't. And then when I watched this, and not because of what we're going to see as we go through this, man, when she was, there's something that they say when models, when that camera and the photographer get together,
Right.
and whatever happens that makes that, she has all that. Because one of the things I didn't like her no upper lip. She doesn't have an upper lip.
Most women don't. Most white women don't.
These women, Christy Turlington, my favorite, has
Right.
one of her upper lip is amazing. And when she smiles, it rolled and there was a crease between her nose and her lip.
Right.
And that's usually something that I see on black women.
Yes.
That is that's like one of the sexiest things to me.
So you have to like Naomi Campbell's lips.
Unbelievable.
Beautiful, full black lips,
She's
baby.
my number 2 on this list.
Right.
I hate to number them because I'm not trying to do it this way, but when I was a young man, that was especially. But when I watched this and I saw the way Evangelista's eyes hit, the way that when she gets in clothes, she becomes whatever character is needed to make those clothes work. She was, like you said, she might not have a lot of body, but she did something that everything looked sexy. There was something about her that I didn't appreciate because I was a young man. I was looking, like you said, face. I liked, this is when Victoria's Secrets came in with the push-up bras. So even if you didn't have a lot of boobs, it would push it up so that it looked like your boobs were trying to choke you.
I wish they made push-up dicks draws from then.
Dude, I don't understand. If everything's a muscle and you can lift a weight to grow, how come dicks can't? No one's invented something to do like dick ups where all of a sudden you just come out with anyway.
You need a female spotter for that. She tickles your balls and you get hard. Yeah.
But this is I underestimated who she was at that time period because I was looking for maybe what I liked. I didn't see it as obviously what the designers saw, what the photographers saw. I thought her nose was funny, but her nose actually makes her sexier in certain pictures, the way it's done. So, but that was my list back when I was in that time period.
And let me tell you, Cindy Crawford had fuller lips.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why I'm going, yo, Cindy Crawford in her prime and I love how they said at first the mole was like, oh, you can't. They tried to Photoshop where they did whatever they did to.
They didn't know what to do with it, is what they said.
But that to me was her signature.
Yeah.
So between her eyes, the mole, and fuller lips, yo, Cindy Crawford was a bad bitch in her prime.
And then if you go to that, she looked like Gia. They talked about that in the first. Gia was a model that was in the early 80s who was outstanding, and she was fearless. She did whatever she wanted to do. She ended up dying because of it, though. But she was an amazing model, and they said she looked like her. And then when you see the pictures, she looks. And you know what's really weird? I've never noticed this, but I guess just as age, when I look back at Cindy Crawford, that's not what I remember her looking like. I didn't remember her looking 15. I'm not saying that I don't know how old she was in some of these shots, but she was so much younger. And so when I thought when that movie came out, I thought she was like a full
fair game.
Yeah. I thought she was a full woman. And really, when I look at it now, I'm like, she's young. She's very young. Right. So age does give you a better perspective.
Dude, I just, I go, how unfun is it to try to be a model when your diet is just lettuce and cigarettes?
And champagne. That's what I know. I know girls. I was in New York in the 80s, and I know girls that lived off cigarettes and champagne.
Right.
That's what they lived off of. And that's why they all smoked at that time. Mm-hmm. So it's a tough world. I actually knew a girl that she was a model at the, you'd come in to see the clothes. Mm-hmm. You go to whatever designer's showroom, and they'd have models that were working that day because they knew certain people were coming in. So they would call the agency the day before, get a few models to come in. I knew one of those girls who did that. She was never a big time model.
They mentioned this, and I just wanted to ask your thoughts. Because nothing screams more 80s to me musically than Boy George.
Oh yeah, when Naomi Campbell's talking about being in the video.
Yeah.
She was so young, she was in the video, not even a model.
Were you a Boy George fan?
I became a Boy George fan after he went through heroin rehab. Dude has a voice, man. Go listen to.
The only song I ever knew was the most popular one, which I can't even think of right now.
There's I'll Tumble For You.
I won't know.
That one changes when you, I'll Tumble For You. There's a Church of the Poisoned Mind is a really good song that I like a lot from the 80s. That was on the second album, I think. I really like his voice. After he comes, he's not in Culture Club anymore. He's on his own. And when you listen to that album, there's no big hits off of it. And he was kind of.
Do I really wanna
hurt you?
Yes.
Do I really wanna?
That's the only one I knew of.
Yeah. Listen to his other stuff where he really uses his voice. He had a voice. George O'Dowd is actually his name. Boy George.
That's his real name.
Yeah.
George O'Dell.
O'Dowd.
Or Dow.
Yeah, I don't know why I even remember that, but I do.
Something that they say, which, when I talk about the thing with Lizzo on stage, and I talk about how Black women in this mantra that, yes, queen, yes, and Black female unity and solidarity. It's code words that America uses because they mention this I constantly hear all American. And I think Naomi Campbell even said it when she said something, certain white models, they're all American. And these all American, America's sweetheart, the girl next door, can we please admit that this is code for white?
Except I would grant you that. And I wanted to say this to you because you talk about this on stage. Halle Berry's been given the girl next door.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, I have.
Really?
Yeah, the girl next door. She has that look of just that.
But part of where that comes from, because when white men want to fuck you and find you as desirable as Black men, and Holly doesn't have the most ethnic looking look. Like, in other words, there's no mistaking. I'm not saying Halle is less Black, but Angela Bassett, darker skin, bigger lips, bigger nose.
Her features are more subtle.
Yes. Halle Berry's features are more subtle. And when by more subtle for white people, and particularly white men, that's closer to white than true Black. So again, when white men desire to fuck you, the same way that, the Black men want you, then it's a little different. That's why, again, Billy Bob Thornton in that movie, I forget what it's called. What's it called?
Monsters Ball.
Monsters Ball. And he fucks Halle Berry. Like, it reminds me of that line from Jadakiss in the song Why. Why Halle Berry? Oh, God. Why Denzel had to be crooked before he took it. Why did something Halle Berry have? When Billy Bob Thornton, he basically said, why did he have to pop her to get an Oscar? Why Denzel had to be crooked before he took it? You know what I'm saying? Like I wish I'm mad at myself because as much as I love Jadakiss, and I know dudes are screaming right now that actually know the lyric, but why Halle have to let a white man pop her to get an Oscar? Why Denzel had to be crooked before he took it? So it's like, again, white dudes look at Halle Berry and go, wow. And they may not say it, but some of them, for a Black girl, she's a bad bitch.
No, she's just bad. And here's the thing. Here's the thing about that, what you're just saying. That Monsters Ball, I've never seen it.
No.
I can't watch it.
Why?
I don't want to see Billy Bob on
Halle Berry. And it's pretty erotic.
And I heard it is, but I don't want to see it because it's going to ruin everything that I've ever thought in my whole life.
Right.
Billy Bob was, and it's not Halle Berry. It's Billy Bob. I don't want to see Billy Bob. I don't care if it was, it was Chris Hemsley on top of her.
You mean
Thor?
Okay. Is it Chris Hemsley?
Yeah, I thought it was Chris Hemsley. Isn't that it? Fuck it, it's Thor.
Thor. Yeah, Odin's son.
If Odin's son and Holly were to get together, I'll watch that. That I'm not going to be upset. But I can't see Billy Bob
Yeah.
Get on top of one of the, who I think is one of the best looking
Yes.
women.
Yes.
Women. There was no extra in that. Women.
Right.
Ever. Apparently from what I hear, she's not the nicest or maybe a little crazy in a relationship. I'm not talking about on the street. I'm just saying in a
And you're
relationship.
right, it is Chris Hemsley.
It is. But that wouldn't offend me visually.
Right.
But Billy Bob, it offends me visually.
Right.
I don't want to see that.
Well, yeah, but to get back on topic, I've never, and I'm not saying you're wrong, but nor am I surprised, but I've never heard that about Halle Berry.
But
But most times,
yes,
you hear those sayings. And here's another one: cute as a button.
Yeah.
Like, dude, as many pitch meetings as I used to go to for television shows, as many scripts as I've read, I've always seen that in the description when describing the white, dainty female
Cute as a
character.
button?
Cute as a button.
Which is
the
ironic.
girl next door, America's sweetheart.
Which is ironic because most buttons are black.
Ah. Anytime you state a fact like that is a Jeff Goldblum moment. Ah. Jesus.
Yeah, it is. And I know where you're going with this, and I can't disagree with you. But I think culturally, America, what I'm going to say is not on the political correct side. I think America needs starter black women.
Starter black women?
White America needs starter black women.
What does that mean, starter?
Like, let me appetize your taste with this kind of black woman so that eventually you can get to regular black women.
I think a lot of white men would view black women as like escargot. Snails. It's an acquired taste.
Look at whatever's climbing on the wall right there.
Where? Oh shit, and that's big too.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, we are in the forest where we're staying. The trees are all around us, but it's
Rand Foots, come get this.
I
was wondering what the fuck you was looking at.
Yeah, it's been freaking me out the
You
whole
wanna
time. I
kill
thought it was
You wanna-
dead.
you wanna kill it?
I don't want to touch it.
All right.
It's not bugging us. No, and when I mean that is what I mean. Anytime a culture, damn, I hate relating humans to other things, but let me just use the UK for an example. When the Indian population started to move in, the Indian population got embraced first with the food because British food was terrible.
When you say Indian, you mean Indian? Oh my God.
Yeah. no.
Okay.
When as more and more Indians came and more it became complementary and fit into the that culture, that became acceptable. And I think I'm not saying that black people need to do that, but I'm just saying as far as the physical beauty to white America that needed to happen to get these cute as a button type of black women for their taste. I'm not agreeing with it, but I'm saying I think that that's part of what it is. And as in this documentary, we're going to see that because we have Naomi Campbell, who's like, she's not the first. She's like the third big.
Well, yeah, I like when they mentioned Iman because I forgot about Iman. So she mentioned the women that came before her. Right.
And there's another documentary on another model that came out before Iman, and I forgot her name. I don't have it written down that I'm going to check out. But anyway, they had to come into, it was like the introduction. Look, just look how this looks, get used to it. This is part of where we're going. This is the direction we're going.
Right.
But I'm going to tell you as a man, the idea that I can't understand it 100% because a physical beauty, a woman, and I know that this isn't politically correct either, but there are physical beauties in this world, male and female. But when I see a female that's a physical beauty, it's undeniable. You can't look away from it. It doesn't make a difference what they are, whether they're black, white, Middle Eastern, whatever it is. A beauty is a beauty. And I don't understand.
Well, you say you don't understand, but I got to always go back to your Larry Bird, because yet technically you are absolutely right. But I would say, well, then why can't people in the model profession agree with that? Because and Naomi Campbell talked about it, the racism that she had to deal with.
I think it goes back to what they think they're selling a brand. And I think that this is the biggest part of it. if you're a white guy, and because let's be honest, most of these people are men that are running this, right? In the industry. So if you're a white guy and you want to sell to white women, you think that a black woman may not be, because you want women to see themselves in that product so that they see themselves looking as beautiful as the woman that's wearing the product. And a black woman wearing it, does the white woman relate to the black woman wearing it in a way that she's going to feel the beauty when the black woman represents it?
But that's horseshit, because you know what? Our dollars are good enough for the brand, but we're not able to represent the brand.
I'm not disagreeing with any of that. You asked the question, and I said, is that what they're seeing? Is that their thought process? Is that the thought process?
I think it's horseshit, because they know that if black people, that's like when Tommy Hilfiger said racist shit about he really didn't want niggas wearing his clothes, but yet niggas are the main buyers of your shit. Yeah. So it's like, you know where you making your money from that community, but yet you're gonna say something. So don't make it seem like it's about the brand and and all that horse shit. When you know, if we're some of your biggest consumers, then you're good enough to take our money, but we're not good enough to be hired to model your shit.
I don't think that they thought of the black consumer as their consumer. That's part of the problem. That was Tommy Hilfiger's problem. He didn't see that the fact that he was using color in big ways that other designers weren't were attracting black customers.
Oh, he don't know no niggas from Detroit, no pimps from Detroit, nigga.
But what I'm saying is he didn't put that into his equation.
Niggas have always brought color to life. You know what I'm saying? We are the palette of color.
You are also, I've had this conversation with you recently, and I'll say this, whether people want to hear it or not, but the influence of black culture worldwide is why Louis Vuitton had a white purse with colors all over it. It's why logos have actually been expanded instead of small, because it's part of black culture. When they wear something, they want, I'm not just wearing it just to pretend here. I want it to look good. I want people to know I got Louis on. It's changed the marketing. We're in a different place than at that time that we're watching this. But my question is, I don't know that we're in a different place. We're in a different place. Now the black dollar is wanted, but I don't know if emotionally we're in a different place.
Right. And this is always, I love when part of what I loved about this too, and I say this all the time, man. And again, this is why I'm thankful for my mother. Parents play such a key role in what could be your child's success. Your support and belief in them could either make or break them in terms of allowing them to pursue their dreams. Because, a couple times, I think Naomi Campbell said, at first my mother was like, modeling, that's not a real job. Or I forget which one of the white models said it, but she was like, I think Cindy Crawford, she said, my parents thought modeling was akin to prostitution.
Yeah.
So they had to go with me to my first shoot. And I'm just going, do you know how many kids' dreams either get deferred or never even get born because their parents don't support it? And I'm telling you, man, and as you've heard me and Andy say on this podcast, whether you want to be a comedian or whatever it is you want to be, go for it. Because I can't think of anything more miserable than living a life where you're doing something you don't really want to do, or you're not happy with, or you're the hamster in the wheel, grinding, going nowhere till you die.
Well, but you just described 90% of the people in the world.
Yes. But I think everybody has a dream. What person goes, yeah, I just want to be a regular worker until I die, and that's it. Everybody has a dream.
Yeah, a dream is one thing, but you could
dreams making it is like sperm hitting the ovaries. There's a million motherfuckers, like you said, millions of people out there, but only 1 or 2 sperm make it. Only 1 or 2 dreams happen.
But I've also heard, I do believe in, yes, go for your dream, but that's also kind of horseshit though too, because your dream isn't always what you're going to be. I heard
why though?
Because it doesn't work that way.
No, it can work that way.
It can,
but it doesn't, because either parents don't support it, or like I always say, people are either fearful or they don't know how, and they don't try.
But you see, okay, let's just take your industry. I'm gonna call it your industry. This is your industry.
Shit, it ain't mine, because if it was mine, I'd be where I need to be.
Well, but you just said you have all this time in it. It's your dream. You want it to be, and you don't feel like you're where you need to be. How many people are on the outside wanting to do this and have never got it even a part?
Yeah, but at least not only did I try, I've succeeded.
You have
in a lot of ways.
You have.
We're not gonna go there because we've heard this story.
Yeah,
but I'm trying.
Okay.
To,
But all that being said, it's not always for, this one guy, I heard him say this and I thought this was genius too. He goes, what you do in life, he goes, everybody has desires and wants, but you try to find out what you're good at, because good at is part of fulfilling your dream. You have to be good at it. You happen to be good at what you wanted to do.
in my industry, as you put it, there's a lot of motherfuckers who ain't great, who are huge.
Yeah, maybe, but that isn't the norm. There's a lot of really
Right. All right.
Okay, because I'm saying there's talented comedians. I've seen talented comedians that never have come up because they just don't, for whatever reason, whatever path they've laid out hasn't worked for them. And I've seen very talented people not move up. So that goes without saying. But someone said you find out what you're good at, you work hard at what you're good at, and then suddenly, because you're good at it, it becomes something that you can succeed at easily. I don't want to use the word easily. You succeed at because you can create, you're so good at it that it becomes a passion, and you make that your passion. And you are rewarded and you are successful because part of your desires is being successful. Very few people have such a pinpointed desire. A lot of it's about being successful.
Quote my man Nas, I'm gonna show niggas how easy it is to make a meal. All you need is a skill, and then it's grind time.
That's it. So if you have the skill, that's usually where it goes too. A lot of people, listen, I love I forgot who it was that said, don't stop telling your kids they can be anything they want. No one's going to become the president. No, a lot of people say, I want to be the president. No, you don't. You don't want to be the president. Matter of fact, we don't want you to be the president. Very few people should have that job. We have twice now have two people that shouldn't have been the president, and they're the president. So you can't always be that.
As I'm watching this, I go, dude, I have so much respect for the art of what I don't know or understand. Professional photographers, it don't matter how striking you are as a model. You need the right photographer to help bring that magic out of you. And there's a talent they have through that power of the camera to see what you and I can't. In other words, some of those photos, I went, as beautiful as these models are, and you have to acknowledge that you need the right photographer, like an athlete needs the right coach. And the combination of those two things, and I think some people would tend to think it's all about the model. No, it's about that photographer too. Something about that lens, how they see things that we can't see or know things we don't know about lighting and shade and angles and close-ups. There's an art to that, and I respect that.
Not only the art about when you said it's that relationship that photographer can get out of the model to the camera. Like it's almost like it's almost like a what is it when menage a trois,
Right?
Where like a lot of people think it's like the camera is making love to the model and that's how they get it, but the photographer's in there. He's seen it. His eyeball is pulling that picture out and how he sees it. And what's amazing about some of these great fashion photographers is that you can have good-looking people take bad pictures, but these fashion photographers can get ugly people to make them look good without touching them up, without enhancing it.
Right.
And that's like there's an artistry to that is equal to the beauty of the model.
Right.
Oh no! I have not seen this guy in a long time.
Once you talk about the art of the woman on the camera, it's like the beauty and the beast. The woman is the beauty, and the camera is the beast. They have to become one. You have to become one with the beast. You have to be raped by the beast. You have to make love to the beast. The woman must make love and be raped by the gorilla. She must be raped by the tiger. She must be raped by the lion. She must be raped by the chimpanzee. And then when that happens, the birth that is given to the photograph is that of the woman and the animal. You have to become a woman monkey. You have to become a woman lion. You have to become a woman gorilla. You have to give birth to the woman and the animal at the same time. Half monkey, half woman, half lion, half woman, half baboon. I am Yaspir Mikwa. This is about art, man. You can't.
I forgot about him. He came out of the woods.
I did not come out of the woods. I came out of the womb. I came out of the womb. When you see a lion and it's foliating, its cream is coming from the vagina, it is me. I come out of the vagina of the lion. All right. Dude, I hated that Oprah moment where she's like, here's a black woman on national TV giving praise to this white woman, Cindy Crawford, telling her when she goes, stand up, and saying, now that is what a body looks like. Now, what does that say to every black woman who looks nothing like that? Especially black women who have actual features that stand out. And I know this is the beginning of Oprah, because obviously you could tell it was 80s, dated, she kind of had the weight. So this is young Oprah, but still, national television, huge platform, huge medium. This sends a message across the country that this is the standard of beauty. And I know there's a lot of white women who will complain and go, well, I don't measure up to that either. But I'm just going, you're Oprah, you're a black woman, with great power comes great responsibility. And you are uplifting this woman saying, this is what beauty is.
Well, wait a minute.
So what does that say to, what are you saying to black women?
But wait a minute. It didn't uplift her either. Do you
Her, Cindy?
You heard how she felt about it.
Okay, but any woman that's somewhat humble is going to have, like, it's in a woman's DNA to criticize herself even when she's perfect.
Okay, but she didn't feel comfortable and stand up. Let us see you. That was it was to the lowest level of what a beauty standard is for. It's not to just be looked at. That's the primitive way of looking at it. But I understand what you're saying. To your point is, and you said it in this, white women didn't measure up to that. That's why there was this backlash against models and what they were trying to make models to be. But what it does show, where I tend to not agree with this, but I have to agree with it, shows the power of the media to make people believe that this is the idyllic look, that this is what we're all supposed to be striving for, because it's not. But the backlash, no, I don't want to do that. Yeah, I guess so. The backlash of it, and here's where I'm going to get in trouble. I'm going to join you in trouble land. The backlash of it is it Lizzo? Let's feel comfortable with what we are and who we are and how we're supposed to look. And now you got someone.
But no, let's flash forward to that now, because this was in my notes later. But by episode 4, they said, part of the beauty of social media now is like once upon a time ago in the 80s, before social media, people lost themselves in magazines and books for information and pictures. Now, because everything is so accessible, everybody can be a model now. And to some degree, they were saying everybody should, because big girls need representation too. Big girls are sexy too. Older women are sexy too. Older women need representation. So the idea of what beauty is not like it was. And again, beauty in terms of big, old, has always been there. It's just now it's represented. I love when Linda Evangelista said there was a saying, and the saying was, and it was such a great saying. God, youth diminishes, beauty doesn't. And there's a difference.
Yeah.
Because she was like, there was a saying where people go, beauty eventually diminishes. And she goes, no, youth does, beauty doesn't. And there's a difference.
Yeah, and I agreed with that. I thought that was a great saying. A great saying. But when now I want to make sure that I clarify what I said about Lizzo, though, because there is beauty, and everybody has the right to be represented. And
it's all
beauty,
subjective.
And it's all subjective. But there is certain things that we know are to be true. And when I see Lizzo twerking on her videos, I don't know who finds that beautiful, but I know that I can't dunk. So if I was to run and go to show my dunking ability and I slammed the ball into the rim and I fell on the ground and the ball rolled behind me, people would say, Andy, as hard as you try, you can't dunk. That doesn't work out. It doesn't equal what you're trying to prove. When I see Lizzo twerking in the short shorts and I see that happening the way that it's happening, some things aren't meant for you. And maybe they are. Maybe there's people, maybe I'm out of my fucking mind and there's people all over clamoring for Lizzo to twerk to make everybody feel good. I just don't see it. There's things that we're good at and there's things that we're not.
That's the subjective part. Because there's some dudes that think that is jacking off to that. They like big bitches. They like cottage cheese thighs. It turns them on. I'm not one of them dudes. But who are you or I to say what it is?
But I'm not. You know what? You're right. It's none of my business. If everybody,
No, it is your business.
No, if people like that, do what you want to do. Like you said, this is a different age where everybody can have a platform and everybody can show who they are and what they are. But let me tell you, if I was to get on there and start twerking and showing my belly fat and doing people would say, dude, you don't need to do that.
But there's also either some dudes and women who are jack off to that.
That doesn't mean it looks good. I'm sorry. Even if you think that looks good, it doesn't look good. I can tell you without a doubt, I know it doesn't look good.
Let me tell you something. I told you there's that website, Eros, which is responsible for, it's an escort service. And there was a chick on there that I recently saw, and I went to her Twitter page, and her whole thing is about fetishes. She'll do any fetish you want. And I think the fetish is called scat. Do you know what that is? And she had a video where she's riding a dildo, but there's shit all over her ass and in her ass crack. Basically, it's women that will fuck you if you're into fucking with shit. And I went, you know, as I say in my joke, man, long as you a consenting adult male with a consenting adult woman, sex is supposed to be nasty and foul. That's what makes it fun. Now, I am joking and I am serious, but there's a line for me. To each his own. But I don't understand how, as a man or a woman, you could be turned on when there's doo-doo involved. If my dick is hard and I smell that aroma, I'm going to lose my heart on. As a woman, how does your pussy stay moist when you smelling caca? But there are people that are turned on by that shit. I can't think of anything more disgusting.
I feel abused just having this conversation right now.
Yeah, no, I feel like we should be having this conversation in the shower separately.
But it is, I understand, and I'm not relating Lizzo to that, what we just said.
Neither am I.
But I'm just saying there's some things that we know generally. I guess I need to say it in general, in the wider range of the mass amount of people. Some things we know are attractive, and then you said the other part is fetishes. So yeah, fetishes I think are different though than what the majority of people are looking for.
I'm just saying there's something for everybody.
I'm not
in certain corners of the world, there is a weirdo that is into whatever it is you think you could get into.
And when I'm speaking about what I am with, and I'm going back to this Lizzo thing, the talent, unbelievable, her ability, unbelievable. I'm just not attracted to that, and that's what she wants to display. Right. But she likes displaying that. I'm not attracted to it. So obviously, that's where we're going to differ.
We talked about this in the airport, and then we put a pin in it because we didn't want to not be able to make it fresh. And I just went, when Naomi Campbell tells the story about how, she faced certain prejudices in the industry. And then Linda Evangelista told one photographer, if you want me, you have to use her. And I shook my head and I wrote this note where I just go, dude, can we please get to a day? And I think we're there, even though, I'm sorry, sometimes these prejudices are always underneath the surface, but when we don't need white saviors. And you said something where I was disagreeing with you, and I said, no, let's save it for the podcast.
Okay. I didn't see her as she was looking at a white savior. She was her friend. They had come up
I knew
together.
that's where you were going with that.
They had come up together. She wasn't going to say anything if she wasn't her roommate, her friend, the person that she came up with, the person that she had a connection to. If it was another black model, she wouldn't have said shit.
But I know you're seeing it as teammates. We're friends.
Yeah.
But let's start with where it began. They didn't want her because she was black. She wasn't being given the same opportunities because she was black. So I know you might not see it as white savior because you're going, well, they came up and they were friends. And that's great. But we have to start with where it originated. So she did have to do it because if she hadn't, Naomi wouldn't have got the opportunity.
Everybody in business needs someone else to co-sign, to bring up, to everyone does.
But don't label it like that. Like that means that there's. Let's not ignore what the problem was.
What the issue was. I understand that, but she was already. Naomi Campbell was as far as like the fashion public, not necessarily the business mind of it, but the fashion public. She was accepted. She was put in that category of these models.
But if she was totally accepted, then there's no need for
the business side wasn't, and that's where sometimes people have to stand up. And if you want to call it a white savior, that would be one thing.
No, call it. That's what it was.
But if it would have been her friend that was someone else,
but it wasn't.
But it wasn't.
So let's deal with what the reality was, not if. We can speculate if and play that game all day. Let's call it what it really was.
But there has been other times when other people have stood up for other people. We all need someone to stand up for us, whether it's black, white, or just because it's the same grouping. Just because we need someone to go, that's the right person, and you're fucking up.
Yes, we do. But let's deal with what it at that moment. What it really was.
At that moment, yes, that was definitely.
And all I'm saying is, it would be nice if we didn't have to do that.
It would be
at
nice.
all.
It would be nice, but that's never going to not be necessary because people always need that. People always need someone to stand up for them. Yes, I'm agreeing with you in this particular instance. I think the bias was that she's black, and I don't know if I want to use a black model this many times.
That's like when Naomi Campbell said the thing that for a long time, a lot of black people that, were New Yorkers had to deal with. When she goes, I needed Christy Turlington to help get me a cab. Because none of the cabs would stop for black people. They say, I don't want to go to Brooklyn. And she goes, why you assume I'm going to Brooklyn?
Well, because, yeah.
There we go. So the white savior is Christy hailing the cab. Now, flash forward to 2023. Is it like that anymore? Not really.
No, because a lot of white people live in Brooklyn.
Okay. That's the savior.
I'm being smart ass, but you're right. But you're right, though, too.
But I'm just saying, it's not as bad as it once was. Because, listen, when I go to New York, sometimes, well, not sometimes, but when we were doing Gotham, and, I'm staying at the Sheraton on 54th, I'm not walking to West 23rd. So I'll go get the cab, no problem. So it ain't like that the way it used to be. But I'm sure there are isolated incidences where it still is.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that there is. But the bias comes from the bias comes from the individual. And sometimes, yeah, you need someone. I would think that most cab drivers just, like you said, that isn't there anymore. But that doesn't mean there aren't those guys that exist anymore. They're still there. So, yeah, I'm sure it still happens, though. Lenny Kravitz in the 80s had that song all about it, Mr. Cab Driver.
Really?
Yeah. And so
it was a song about that?
It's about it being
I can't catch a cab. I can't catch a cab. It's because I'm a nigga.
People really underestimate your vocal abilities because that actually
I can't catch a cab. I just can't catch a cab because I'm a nigga.
Yeah, so yes, agreed. It would be nice not to have a white savior, but we need saviors. We all need someone to give us an extra help out.
But here's what I love about you. And this is where, I know you're agreeing with me, but you often, and I'm not saying you're wrong, but you'll agree with me, but you'll also go, but it ain't, yes, that happens, but everybody needs, we all, and that's like saying, do all lives matter? Yes. But come on, man, we know what this is.
Yeah, but see, the difference is you're looking at it. I'll just be honest. You're looking at it from a perspective of blackness. So,
well, why would I look at it as anything else?
Because when you look at it that way, I want someone in the theory that I'm hearing you lay out is, if everybody needs a savior, I want to be in a position where a black man can come by and be my savior, or a black woman can come by and be my savior.
No, I don't want a black person to save me. I don't want nobody to save me.
But we all need a savior.
No. But the fact is, because of those prejudices, it's either Linda Evangelista saves her or she doesn't, and then Naomi still has to go through the bullshit to get what she deserves just as equally.
I get that, but
should she deny the help? No, thank God it came. But goddamn.
But what I'm trying to say is, I understand the idea that from a point of view, is that why do I have to have a white person come over and save me? If we're all equal, if this is what we're supposed to be, if we all get our just due, and we all need help up, why does it always have to be the white person that helps the black person?
Because they have the access.
And that's it, though. And the majority. It's also part of the majority, because the average person driving
for the protection.
No, but the average person driving by in the cab is a white person.
Well, not today. My God, it's Indian or it's Arab.
So that may be the reason why there's been more change.
Right.
But I'm just saying we all need.
How can sand niggas be prejudiced against chicken niggas? How can sand niggas be prejudiced against chicken niggas? It's all the same nigga.
I never heard you say that before, and that is.
And most niggas, when they go to the beach, they eat chicken sitting on the sand.
When you do the joke of, if you ever do that again about Aretha Franklin's, that one,
Aretha Franklin's ashes are in the batter. That's why niggas love that Popeye's chicken.
Then that's when you should throw that chicken.
Chicken niggas and sand niggas are the same niggas.
Because you haven't been doing Paul Mooney on stage. And that Paul Mooney's fucking fantastic, man. Okay, agreed. I agree with you. I'm just saying, when I need help, I don't give a fuck who it is. Just come fucking help me. But I could use some help.
Yeah, but also when you need help, it's not because you're white.
Yeah,
whatever your help is what something else. You don't need help because your skin is an infliction.
But if I'm not here, what if I'm somewhere where it's a black majority? I tour on with you.
Then you might need me to save you.
I tour with you.
Yes.
When I go out, when we're in DC, I remember our first time.
When you would need me is when we do a black room, and if you got so frustrated, you went, "Well, you niggas just won't." That's when you'll need me.
And that is the white atom bomb. That is where I'm like that. That would be like, let's see how fast I can get everybody to stand up here and come beat my ass.
Right.
No, but like we go on the road. It's very funny, and I wanted to make this into a joke, and I never have. The theory is that a black person can't be racist because they don't have the power and the numbers to in America. Let's start with America to be racist, because a black dude a white dude doesn't need to work with a black man ever in his whole life in America, was the theory. This is the theory that was out there. And, but a black man always has to work with a white man to be able to make his millions or be successful in this country. And I always thought it was funny because that's the theory. But when I'm on stage and it's a black audience, yeah, you can win this one. This one's very winnable. It's just me and a full room full of black dudes. So, with that being said, I might need I might need a black savior in that moment. I might need someone in these moments.
Listen, like I say, there's always an exception to the rule. White tigers exist. So I'm sure there are maybe moments when white people need a black savior, but it just ain't the norm. Is it fair to say that? Oh, go ahead.
Let me just ask you this real quick. We're at 1 hour and 8.
Yeah.
Do you want to do this as a two-parter?
No, because
it's gonna get real quick.
It's real quick because look, episode 3.
Let's go on though, because we're just at 1.
No, I've been watching that.
Me
but
too.
yeah, it's even some of this 3 and 4 we've already addressed.
Covered. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm about to be done. Is Cindy Crawford the MJ of models? Back in her prime when she was.
Yeah, but only because she did so many different things, but unfortunately for her, and the money grabs that people do in like the movie. You know, it would have been nice if they would have maybe gave her some more acting training, did some other things.
But she sucked.
She was.
And she knew she sucked. If Fair Game was a hit, there would have been a Fair Game too.
Right. And so I'm just saying they could have given her the opportunity. You know, it's almost like sometimes they put, and this is America. This is how America handles fame. They build you up, they put you on a pedestal just to come and knock the pedestal down. And it was, I think it was almost fun in a way for, yes, she's the most beautiful. She's this, she's that, she's that. She can't act for shit though.
But she couldn't know. That's the reality.
Because did they give her any help to act?
Nah, if it's there, it's there.
I'm not saying.
Even in a bad movie, if you got the skills, you got the skills.
But they gave her the lead. Could they have not given her a part where she didn't have the whole film riding on her?
No, because at that moment she was lava hot.
Yeah, but you could still give her the second lead. It doesn't have to be the
if you
first.
stink, you stink.
Well,
it don't matter how much.
But you could cover some of that stuff up.
But the stench is the stench.
I'm just saying they built her to fail at that. So, but she had opportunities but she also had opportunities, as she talks about, that she created. She had I love when she talks about having going to Sports Illustrated, doing the swimsuit issue. Didn't have a great experience, and then
I love the way she took control of the Playboy situation.
Yeah, every time
she demanded that she has a say over the pictures, and if at any point she didn't like it, she could pull the plug.
And a lot of these, especially her, did launch models into another category because they did take control over their points, their industry. They weren't going to let Playboy just run over any pictures. They weren't going to let fashion houses tell them that they could only work for them. They changed things. Christy Turlington did that. So with the fashion houses. But yeah, keep going, man.
And you know, as things evolve and you get older, you try to match the times. And you know, once that 80s period of their power and heightened success, we're starting to change because in comes the 90s and in comes grunge.
Yep.
Were you ever into grunge? Because to me, I just go, it looks like homeless fashion.
I wasn't into so much grunge as I did really like Nirvana. I could hear and feel, because I was throwing parties on campus at the U of A at the time. And you could hear and feel that change, that shift in the music from being very poppy, manicured music to this new hard, rougher kind of coming out of punk, but still into this other genre, and matching the feelings that were happening in rap as well as hip hop. I don't like to use it hip hop in rap. It was matching some of those feelings, the disgruntled feelings, the trust issues that were there, and that was in the music. So I knew this was going to resonate. I knew this was coming through. And Nirvana, that first album still holds to today as far as musically. So yeah, I saw it, but the fashion thing being all
it felt forced.
Well, it wasn't only forced, but it was also like it was about being able to go to Salvation Army or a thrift store, and you didn't have to go buy from a big brand name. You were putting other things on your body. It was almost like it got too big. The fashion industry had too much.
It didn't fit.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying forced, because look, let's call it models about, like you said, wearing the clothes, but I think the women make the clothes as much as the clothes make the women. And part of that model thing is about sexy and bone structure and long legs, and grunge doesn't fit that. That's like when I saw this great documentary on Frank Sinatra, and as time evolved, he wanted to evolve with the times, and it was the 70s, and he had on these weird clothes, and he was still trying to do crooner music with weird 70s look. It was just awful, and it was a period of time from when he started where it was all about him and his style. Then the 70s hit, and he had to be put on pause for a minute.
Well,
but then he went back after that, and he went back to what really started it, and that was always him.
Yeah, well, you're right, because when you're iconic in a certain position, you can't. That's what happened for a lot of people in the disco time. They came over and tried to do some disco music, and that didn't work out for a lot of people. You have to stay true to who you are. I think the fashion houses tried to grab. They can't do grunge. Like Versace. You know, we were talking about fetish earlier.
I'm sorry, keep your thought. But speaking of Versace, to me, Versace always felt like clothes for Arab men, just who wear way too much cologne.
Well, a lot of Arab men did wear Versace. Versace was a big deal. But Versace also, for women's clothes, had a lot of like S&M kind of pieces over it with the leather straps and
Right.
how they did certain cutouts and how it was very suggestive. And that's where Versace was at. And it's still today with Donatella still can do that. Yeah, it's just it's different though. Grunge does not say sexy. Grunge says
like you said, thrift store,
counterculture.
Yeah,
we're going a different way.
Yeah, I got 2 more things and then I'm done. Real quick, when Cindy Crawford at damn near 50 did the, I don't know if the reboot is the right, but the remake of the Pepsi commercial.
Yeah,
was she still dope? Was she still fire to you at that look with the denim shorts and the white beater and the heels?
She was a fire mom.
Yes.
That's the best way.
I'd still give it a banging.
Yeah, but she has a more of a mom body now. Still a hot body,
right?
But for 50, I think she's 54. She was probably 53 in that.
Yeah,
mom, and with 2 kids.
Yeah,
one of her kids is a model
who looks just like her.
Fucking solid, very solid, but still, it was still a mom's body, wasn't that? But that's also part of the problem. Going back to what they were talking about when they were young, is those bodies are young. We're wondering why dude, I want to tread very lightly on about what I'm about to say. To sexualize young people when you see models that are 15, 16 years old, that's the sexualization of young kids. It's not where we should have ever been. These models in their 20s, still young, but of age, and the sexual part and being able to control their destiny and being able to have some kind of knowledge, that's fair. These young kids, that isn't fair. So when we're looking at a mom now at 53 and she's still sexy, that's if we would have eliminated the 15 through 18 years old and we're in the 20-year-old market, maybe it doesn't seem like such a far distance, but it is, because we're starting this at 15. We're starting these looks at 15. But she still looks sexy.
Like I said, man, as long as it's not too crazy, an older woman is sexy to me. I definitely throw it in a. My last one. Dude, that's just, So Linda Evangelista. So here's a woman that fights and supports a woman's cause, breast cancer. And she's disfigured and loses her job and self-esteem because she gets breast cancer. Tell me why there's a God again?
Well, first of all, that's not why she lost her job. She also had a procedure, a medical procedure, to get rid of some extra skin, some extra stuff that she wanted. And that is what gave her left her deformed. The breast cancer comes afterwards, which is like you just said.
Okay,
though,
so
it's even worse almost.
Okay, but let's say the deformity from that never happened. The breast cancer still happened.
The breast cancer still happens. Yeah.
And she's scarred.
She's scarred.
And disfigured.
Yeah.
So tell me why God exists again.
Because, as she said, it doesn't make a difference because the beauty never left her. The beauty is within her.
Okay.
And she may not have that same look, but listen, there is plenty of shots at her in while we're watching this, where I'm watching this and I said that beauty is all still there. When you look at her eyes, her face, how she moves, but here's where this is so difficult. When you watch how she grips her coat, and grips her other thing that she was wearing. Yeah. There's 2 different outfits that she's wearing. She is holding on to that for her life. Right. Where you see the fear of her being seen with that opening and whatever is coming out. And when she talks about the fact that she wanted to take off her beanie, but she couldn't do it on the camera because that she's going through chemo and she's losing her hair. And so those things, and that's why they have the wigs for her. This is something that is troublesome to me on a human level, is that although these women who've done these things I'm not going to put them, I don't know what kind of intelligence level they are. A lot of these women have done other things, went to college, have had life experiences, have traveled, are very knowledgeable. So it's not about that. But to go through all these whole things where beauty and the look, the physical presence is is what got you everything that you're getting out of this industry. And then to have that taken away from you, it has to leave you in a very, very scary space. And I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at these women, and as beautiful as Cindy Crawford is when we saw like the Pepsi commercial at 50-something years old. She's very, men don't fall into that same thing. Men at 50 are distinguished looking, not all men, but a lot of men, famous men who have the ability to continue to stay, to eat well, work out, medical, can get to a doctor, can do those things.
That's because men don't have to, women don't have swagger. Men can rely on swagger once beauty goes away. Men can rely on being humorous. Women don't have, women rely on beauty. And I'm not saying there aren't humorous women out there, but you know, women's beauty and their physical attributes carry them a lot further than a man. Listen, if a man looks like Brad Pitt or a Denzel in his prime, that's a bonus.
Yeah, I like.
But even if you don't have that, we have to have swagger. We have to have game. We have to have funny. And that can get us through. Women, all they need is beauty. So once that fades, now what you leaning on? But swagger? You never have to have it.
And that's kind of the point. These industries for women were built on solely beauty. And that's why it's great when you do see women like Christy Turlington, Cindy Crawford doing these other business ventures that are opening up their doors. So it's just not about the beauty. The success is there. So that swagger maybe does come to women at some point. But for men, it just seems a lot easier as they age. And I think a lot of it has to do with it, like you just said, it wasn't dependent on the beauty. I mean, as good looking as Brad Pitt was as a young man, I don't think he looks the same way now. I'm liking
Denzel doesn't.
Yeah, but Denzel still has a lot more. I think there's a difference between Denzel and Brad Pitt. But Brad Pitt, I kind of like watching him become normal, more like me instead of more distinguished. He didn't get the distinguished look. He has looked a little different. I like it. For me, selfishly, I like it. He's still a good-looking man. But
I'm a quote Patrice. He said, "Men, we age like wine. Women age like bread."
Well, I think that they're opening up the door, though, for more. And I do like seeing Christy Turlington doing more. Like I said, Cindy Crawford doing more. Naomi Campbell. Naomi Campbell's probably doing some of the bigger work outside of the United States. So if you really want to watch this, I recommend it only because you see these women on a different level, not just beauty. And it is interesting. And it is interesting to see how this business treated them. We didn't get into the men that were in this business, running the business. We did a little bit, but, Linda Evangelista had issues because of that. I'm sure the way these women talk and they don't say it in it, I think they all had issues with the men in this business. It's all part of the undercurrent of this documentary. But it's worth seeing. It's worth checking out.
Folks, it's called The Supermodels, available on Apple TV. I'm telling you, fellas, don't, you know what I mean? Watch it. It's fucking awesome. And again, I said this to Andy yesterday as we were going to the club. This is why I love Sex in the City. And I know dudes hear me say that and go, what? Nigga, give me your man card. When the writing is good, the performances are good, the stories are good, you get past the fact that it's women. You know, our egos and our machoism stops us from doing that. Connect. You will connect on a human level. That's like this joke I do now when I say that I love women with pedicures. Ladies, thank you for your service. When your toe game is beautiful, it's awesome. There's nothing sexier. I want to suck on your toes. But then I also go, dudes, invest in a goddamn pedicure. I know dudes won't do it because it's gay, it's feminine. It feels amazing. It's a great stress reliever. And again, dudes, some of you dudes' feet look like you've been kicking 9/11 debris. Stop it. Get them claws clipped. Your feet look like niggas in Detroit's fingers. Okay, give updates.
Guys, listen to this. You're going to be hearing us. We're going to where are we? We're going to be in Orlando, Florida, the 13th to the 15th of October. October 19th to the 22nd, Chicago Improv. October 26th to the 29th, Milwaukee Improv. November 3rd through the 5th, we'll be at Levity Live in West Nyack, New York. November 10th through the 12th, we're going to be at the Tampa, Florida Improv. November 16th to the 19th, we're going to be at the Ontario Improv in California. because people always get confused on that one. So there we are, California. November 24th, 26th, the Improv in San Jose, California. And December 1st through the 3rd, we're going to be at the Tacoma Comedy Club in Tacoma, Washington.
There it is. And you said DC, right?
I didn't say DC. I left that out, but I'll put it in.
Please
You want to
don't.
put it in?
Yes.
Well, we got 3 others. I'll put it in then. Summit in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Yeah, give out all that
December
shit.
15th through the 17th, December 21st to the 23rd, Bricktown Comedy Club in Oklahoma City, and December 28th to the 30th, as Aries has instructed, Improv at the Washington, D.C. Improv.
Now, Jack, we both know I'm going to be an honest man from now on. But if I did decide to become a thief, what makes you think you can catch me? Can I have my lighter bag ready? That's a show. What are we going to call this? Nip and tuck.
No.
No.
What are we going to call it? You know what? Can we do this, though? Only because I'm so proud. After watching this, and you told me you had a moment when you watched Linda Evangelista.
Yes.
We're going to call it Linda Evangelista.
Really?
Models.
Okay.
Linda Evangelista Models.
All right.
What do you think? Give the lady a shout out.
Okay. Okay.
Wait. Do you want to put Naomi Campbell in there? Because we don't. I don't want to feel like we left out a black woman on this.
You're not about to white savior this shit.
Linda Evangelista.
There it is.
Spears and Steinberg.
Thanks for listening to the Spears and Steinberg podcast. If you'd like to know who's responsible for this shit, it was hosted by Aries Spears and Andy Steinberg, produced by Steve Merrick and Anthony Holmes, executive producer, Big Papa, Robert Kelly, and Matt Kleinschmidt for the Laugh Button podcast. For more information on where to find us on the internet, visit SpearsburgPod.com.